Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Whitney Houston. A legendary voice, Whitney Houston was one of the most celebrated and influential vocalists in music history. Born on August 9, 1963, in Newark, New Jersey, she grew up surrounded by music. Her mother, Cissy Houston, was a renowned gospel singer, and she was also the cousin of Dionne Warwick and goddaughter of Aretha Franklin. From an early age, Whitney was exposed to powerful voices and a deep spiritual connection to music, especially gospel. Rise to fame. Houston began her career as a teen model but soon transitioned to music. Discovered by Clive Davis of Arista Records, she released her debut album, Whitney Houston, in 1985. The album became a massive success, producing hits like Saving All My Love for You, How Will I Know, and Greatest Love of All. Her voice, a soaring, technically masterful soprano, quickly became her trademark. Her second album, Whitney, 1987, made history. She became the first woman to debut at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and scored 4 number 1 singles in a row, including I Wanna Dance with Somebody, Who Loves Me, The Bodyguard, and global icon status. In 1992, Houston starred alongside Kevin Costner in The Bodyguard. Though the film received mixed reviews, it was a box office hit, and its soundtrack became one of the best-selling albums of all time. Her rendition of Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You became her signature song and a global anthem. Throughout the 1990s, she continued to dominate with powerful performances, hit records, and further film roles in Waiting to Exhale, 1995, and The Preacher's Wife, 1996. Her contributions to those soundtracks only deepened her musical legacy. Personal struggles. Despite her professional success, Houston's personal life was troubled. Her tumultuous marriage to singer Bobby Brown, combined with struggles with substance abuse, often overshadowed her talent in later years. Her health, public image, and vocal abilities began to decline in the early 2000s. Tragic end and lasting legacy. On February 11, 2012, Whitney Houston was found dead in a hotel bathtub in Beverly Hills the night before the Grammy Awards. She was only 48. The official cause of death was accidental drowning, with heart disease and cocaine use listed as contributing factors. Despite her struggles, Houston left behind an unparalleled legacy. She won 6 Grammy Awards, 22 American Music Awards, and sold over 200 million records worldwide. Her influence is seen in countless modern artists who cite her as an inspiration, from Beyoncé to Ariana Grande. Whitney Houston remains a symbol of unmatched vocal talent, emotional expressiveness, and the highs and lows of superstardom. Her voice continues to resonate across generations, a reminder of both brilliance and vulnerability. Musical brilliance and vocal technique. Whitney Houston's voice was often described as a once-in-a-generation instrument. Her vocal range, precise control, and emotional depth set her apart from her peers. Known for her ability to effortlessly move from soft, gentle phrasing to powerful belting, she mastered the use of melisma, singing several notes over a single syllable, a style that became widely emulated in contemporary pop and R&B. Houston's vocal performances weren't just about power, they were about storytelling. Songs like Didn't We Almost Have It All the Man That I Need, and Run to You showcased her ability to infuse lyrics with vulnerability and grace. She could sing a ballad with heartbreaking tenderness or electrify a crowd with a dance anthem. Gospel roots and spiritual influence. Her musical foundation was gospel, and she never strayed far from it. Even in her pop hits, gospel's spirit was present in her phrasing, vocal delivery, and emotional intensity. This was especially evident in her 1996 soundtrack for The Preacher's Wife, which became the best-selling gospel album of all time. Tracks like I Love the Lord and Joy to the World reconnected her to her spiritual roots and showcased her in a more traditional church setting. Cultural impact: Whitney Houston broke barriers in both the music industry and popular culture. In the 1980s, when MTV often excluded black artists, Houston's music videos were among the first by a black woman to be put in heavy rotation. Her success opened doors for future artists of color in pop music. She was also a fashion icon, known for her elegant style, striking beauty, and commanding stage presence. In 1991, she performed The Star-Spangled Banner at the Super Bowl during the Gulf War era, delivering a version so powerful that it was later released as a single and charted on Billboard. Humanitarian work and advocacy: beyond her musical achievements, Houston was a philanthropist. She founded the Whitney Houston Foundation for Children, focusing on issues such as homelessness, children with cancer or AIDS, and other humanitarian concerns. She also supported Nelson Mandela and took part in the 1988 Freedom Fest concert in London, celebrating his impending release from prison. Later years and comeback attempts: in the 2000s, Houston faced increasing challenges, both personally and professionally. Years of substance abuse took a toll on her voice and public image. Yet, she attempted a comeback with the 2009 album I Look to You, which debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. Though her voice had changed, the album was a reflection of strength and spiritual resilience, with songs that spoke to redemption and hope. Influence on future artists: Whitney Houston's impact is still deeply felt today. Many of today's top vocalists, including Jennifer Hudson, Christina Aguilera, Beyoncé, and Ariana Grande, cite her as a major influence. Her vocal techniques are studied by singers around the world, and her songs remain staples in vocal competitions, talent shows, and tributes. Her influence also extended into social perceptions of black women in pop music. She was poised, powerful, and elegant, shattering stereotypes and raising the standard for female performers. Whitney Houston's life was marked by extraordinary triumphs and heartbreaking trials, but above all, by a voice that touched millions. She reminded the world of the sheer power of music to inspire, heal, and elevate. Despite her tragic end, she is remembered not for how she died, but for how she lived and sang, with unmatched passion, grace, and soul. Early life and influences: Whitney Elizabeth Houston was born into a musical dynasty. Her mother, Cissy Houston, was a Grammy-winning gospel singer. Her cousins Dionne and Dionne Warwick were successful soul singers, and her godmother, Aretha Franklin, was the Queen of Soul. Whitney began singing in the church at New Hope Baptist Church in Newark, where her vocal abilities were evident from a young age. She also sang backup vocals for her mother in nightclubs and eventually lent her voice to recordings by Chaka Khan and Jermaine Jackson. Her modeling career in her teens gave her national exposure, including a cover on Seventeen magazine, the first for a black woman. Still, music was her destiny. Her natural stage presence, radiant beauty, and supernatural voice quickly brought her to the attention of record executive Clive Davis, who signed her to Arista Records in 1983. Whitney's impact in the 1980s and 1990s: during the late 1980s and early 1990s, Whitney Houston became one of the most dominant forces in music. Her albums regularly went multi-platinum, and she earned the nickname The Voice for her vocal range, clarity, and emotion. She won numerous awards, including 6 Grammy Awards, 2 Emmy Awards, 22 American Music Awards, 30 Billboard Music Awards. Her achievements included 7 consecutive #1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, a record still unmatched. Over 200 million records sold worldwide, placing her among the best-selling music artists in history. Houston's music crossed racial and genre boundaries. She was equally at home singing R&B, pop, soul, and gospel. This versatility made her a household name across cultures and continents. Film career: Houston was also a successful actress. In her 1992 film debut, The Bodyguard, she not only held her own opposite Kevin Costner but also delivered a soundtrack that became iconic. I Will Always Love You became one of the best-selling singles of all time. And her emotionally charged performance gave new life to Dolly Parton's song. She went on to star in Waiting to Exhale, 1995, a film celebrating African American women's lives and friendships. The Preacher's Wife, 1996, where she played opposite Denzel Washington and delivered a gospel-driven soundtrack that reaffirmed her deep spiritual roots. Sparkle, 2012, released posthumously, marking her return to acting after years away from the screen. Marriage and personal challenges: in 1992, Houston married R&B singer Bobby Brown. The marriage, often in the public eye, was marked by controversy, allegations of abuse, and drug use. The pressures of fame, a turbulent relationship, and increasing substance dependency began to affect her voice and public performances. By the early 2000s, Houston's personal troubles overshadowed her once flawless career. Public appearances became erratic, and her once pristine vocals showed signs of damage. The 2005 reality show Being Bobby Brown gave the public a raw and unfiltered look at her chaotic domestic life, further tarnishing her image. Death and mourning: on February 11, 2012, Whitney Houston was found unconscious in the bathtub of her Beverly Hilton hotel suite. Attempts to revive her failed. She was pronounced dead at 48 years old. The cause: accidental drowning, with cocaine, heart disease, and other substances listed as contributing factors. Her death, just hours before Clive Davis's pre-Grammy Gala, shocked the world. Tributes poured in from artists, fans, and public figures across the globe. A televised funeral held at her childhood church featured emotional eulogies and musical tributes from Alicia Keys, Stevie Wonder, and others. Honors and posthumous recognition: since her passing, Houston's legacy has only grown. She has been honored with numerous posthumous accolades, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2020. Multiple documentaries and biopics, including Whitney, 2018, and I Wanna Dance with Somebody, 2022, introduced her story to new generations. Her influence is frequently cited in awards speeches, performances, and tribute concerts. Her daughter, Bobby Christina Brown, her only child with Bobby Brown, tragically died in 2015 under similar circumstances, deepening the sense of tragedy surrounding Whitney's legacy. A lasting legacy: Whitney Houston's story is a complex tapestry of divine talent, immense success, personal hardship, and tragic loss. Yet her music remains timeless. From the joyous rhythm of I Wanna Dance with Somebody to the raw emotional power of I Have Nothing, her songs continue to uplift, inspire, and move listeners. She paved the way for artists of color in mainstream pop, redefined what it meant to be a diva, and reminded the world of the sheer beauty and transformative power of a voice. Though her life was cut short, Whitney Houston's voice and spirit will never be forgotten. Influence on music and pop culture: Whitney Houston didn't just dominate the charts, she changed the sound and direction of pop and R&B. Before her, few black female artists had fully crossed over into global superstardom in the pop world without losing their R&B roots. Whitney showed that an African American woman could be glamorous, powerful, and universally marketable, without compromise. Her success opened the door for artists such as Mariah Carey, Beyoncé, Brandy, Alicia Keys, and many more. Mariah Carey, in particular, was often compared to Houston early in her career, and the two eventually collaborated on When You Believe for the film The Prince of Egypt, 1998, winning the Academy Award for Best Original Song. Houston.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.